Hello everyone. Today we are going to study MOS and BiCMOS circuit design processes. I had done this in the class already, but we are going to revise this particular topic. The syllabus under this topic contains MOS layers, stick diagrams, design tools and layout. Physical design. The basic process of creating circuits on silicon is known as physical design. During this phase, schematic diagrams are carefully translated into sets of geometric patterns that are used to define the on-chip physical structures. So, whatever the schematic diagrams we had drawn, all those schematic diagrams, that is the circuits, are now going to be converted using rectangles or polygons into patterns. Every layer in the CMOS fabrication sequence is defined by distinct pattern. If we consider the different layers of the CMOS circuit, we know that we make use of P diffusion, N diffusion, polysilicon, metals, etc. So here every layer, every particular layer which is being used for the fabrication process is defined using a different pattern. The process of physical design is performed using computer tool called layout editor. Graphics program that allows the designer to specify the shape, dimensions and the placement is the work which is done by the layout editor. Now, what is this layout editor? On this computer tool or the CAD tool, what we are going to do is we are going to draw the schematic and convert it into mask layout. Similarly, we can directly draw the mask layout which can be given to the fabrication unit for the design purpose, that is fabrication of the chip. Complexity issues are attacked by first designing simple gates and storing their descriptive files in a library, subdirectory or folder. The gates constitute cells in the library. Now, whenever we have to design complex circuits, we cannot directly start with the complex circuit. So, what we do is that basic gates like NAND gate, NOR gate, NOT gate or inverter, etc. are first designed, and these designs are stored as cells in the library of the computer tool, and then using these gates from the library, further complex circuits can be designed. For example, if I have to design a parallel adder, first the basic cells, that is NOT gate, AND gate, OR gate and XOR gate will be designed. These gates are going to be stored in the form of cells in the library. Now, next I am going to design half adder. Then in that case, I will make use of one XOR gate and one AND gate which had already designed and stored in the library. So I will call those cells from the library and use them to design the half adder. Similarly, this half adder which I have designed would be stored back into the library. Now, what I can do is next I can use this half adder which I had designed and stored in the library to design the full adder. Now, full adder also would be stored in the library. Now, to design the parallel adder, I can take the full adder design from the library and then repeat the same design n number of times, where n would be the number of bits which need to be added using the parallel adder. So like this, we can actually make use of the library subdirectory or the folder to design basic gates as cells and store them in the library and then use them for complex designs. Library cells are used as basic building blocks by creating copies of the basic cells to construct larger, more complex circuit. This process is called instantiate of the cell, and the copy of the cell is called an instance. So, whatever example I have just now told you, in that when I made use of XOR gate and AND gate to design a half adder, then that process where I made use of the AND gate and XOR gate is nothing but I have instantiated the XOR gate and AND gate, and then when I made the copies, each AND gate which I have got, or each XOR gate which I have got, it is an instance. Much of the designer's work is directed towards the goal of obtaining a fast circuit in the minimum amount of area. Small changes in the shapes or area of the polygon will affect the resulting electrical characteristics of the circuit. So, when we are going to design the circuit, we should see to it that there is a trade-off between area and speed of the circuit. We know that there is a trade-off between area and speed of the circuit. So, our goal should be to have a faster circuit. That means a circuit which performs with high speed. And similarly, minimum amount of area. So, we should choose our design such that we have something like it should be fast enough also, and the area it takes is also lesser. And whatever changes we are going to do in the polygons which we are going to use for creating the mask layout, then they will affect the electrical characteristics of the circuit. How they will affect the electrical characteristics of the circuit? Because we know that each layer that is being formed, it actually has some resistance and exhibits some capacitance. So, RC network would be created. Thus, delay or propagation delay would be added to the circuit. Design processes are aided by simple concepts such as stick diagrams and symbolic diagrams, but the key element is a set of design rules. Now, whatever circuit we had designed using NMOS, PMOS, or that is pass transistors or transmission gates, or CMOS technology, or any other type of circuit, then in that case design processes would be used. And these design processes, or in other words, we can actually depict the design in terms of stick diagrams and symbolic diagrams. But whenever you are going to draw the mask layout, then design rules have to be followed. Design rules are communication link between designer specifying the requirements and the fabricator who materializes them. So what are the what is basically the design rules? They act as communication link between a designer and a fabricator. The designer actually knows what the circuit is going to perform, how the output is going to be obtained from the inputs given. But the fabricator knows how to manufacture the chip, or in other words, fabricate the chip. He does not have any idea of the design of the circuitry. But the designer has to communicate the way his design or circuit has to be fabricated. So, these design rules are the communication link between designer and the fabricator. From that mask layout, which uses design rules, the fabricator will be able to understand how to fabricate the circuit on the chip. That means which layer has to be used, how the layers have to be used, what should be their dimensions, length, width, spacing between the different layers. Everything will be known from the design rules. Design rules are used to produce workable mask layouts from which various layers in the silicon will be formed or patterned. Stick diagrams are used to convey information through color code or monochrome encoding of lines. So stick diagrams, we can say they are rough diagrams of the mask layout. Mask layouts are drawn by making use of the design rules, but stick diagram just it conveys the information about the circuitry, what transistors have been used, how the interconnections have been made, how are they placed, etc. So stick diagrams conveys this particular information either through monochrome encoding or color coding. Physical design is based on the use of CAD tools. I hope you know different types of CAD tools. What are the different types of CAD tools which are available? Some of them are Synopsys tool, Cadence, Mentor Graphics, Microwind, Tanner tools, etc. So these CAD tools, they simplify the procedure and aid in the verification process. We know that whenever we are going to design some circuitry, then at every step, every stage, verification process has to be done. We need to check whether the design what we have done at a particular level is correct or not. Does it actually give the required output or not? So verification process is very important. Physical design tool sets are listed here: layout editor, extraction routine, layout versus schematic, that is LVS, design rule checker or DRC, place and route routine, electrical rule checker, that is ERC. What does the layout editor do? On the layout editor, you can draw the layout of the circuit. There are editors where you can draw the schematic of the circuit by drag and drop, make the connections, and that circuit can also be directly converted to layout. Once the layout is obtained, either by drawing or directly converting the schematic diagram to layout, extraction routine is used to extract the parasitics of the circuit. Next, layout versus schematic, that is LVS. What does layout versus schematic do? Layout versus schematic, it is going to check whether the layout that we have drawn, does it match perfectly with the schematic circuit which we had previously drawn. Design rule checker, it is going to check whether all design rules have been properly met with while drawing the layout. Place and route routine. Place and route routine, when you have a complex circuitry, so you can change the position of the cells depending upon the size, the length of the interconnections between the modules. Electrical rule checker. Electrical rule checker, it is going to check whether the proper electrical connections, everything have been made. So I hope you have understood what are the tool sets available for the physical design. They are layout editor, extraction routine, layout versus schematic, design rule checker, place and route routine, electrical rule checker. Basically, the VLSI design aims to translate circuit concepts onto silicon, and the stick diagrams are the means of capturing topography and the layer information in the form of simple diagrams. So stick diagrams are simple diagrams which capture the layer information and topography of the circuit. They convey layer information in the form of color codes and monochrome encoding. So through these color code and monochrome encodings, the different layers which need to be used, they are going to be in that information is going to be conveyed to the fabricator. Stick diagrams help in planning the layout quickly. The stick diagrams are not to the scale and they can be drawn using color pencils, dry erase markers, or using monochrome encoding. So we now come to know that stick diagram is symbolic representation of the layout, where each conductive layer is represented by a line of distinct color. Width of the line is not important, as the stick diagram just gives only the wiring and routing information. It conveys or shows all the components, wires, contacts, relative placement, etc. But it does not show the exact placement, transistor size, wire lengths, wire widths, or tub boundaries. Basically, the stick diagram is a rough diagram of the mask layout. The encodings which are being used for stick diagram and mask layout are shown in the figures. The green color is used for representation of the end diffusion. So if you use a green stick in the stick diagram, and in the mask layout you can see the shading is towards the left, then these layers indicate the end diffusion. Similarly, polysilicon, it can be represented using red colored layer, red stick, or in mask layout we have to have the shading towards the right. Then that is the layer indicating polysilicon. Metal one is represented using blue color stick, or in mask layout the coding is vertical lines. Implant is used to draw the depletion mode transistor, and it is indicated by a yellow square box. And this implant is drawn around the transistor, which is the depletion mode transistor. Now, yellow stick is being used in the stick diagram. Similarly, the shading towards the left with yellow color or monochrome encoding shows P diffusion, but the difference between P diffusion and N diffusion monochrome encoding is that in N diffusion the lines drawn towards the left are closer to one another, whereas here they are far apart. Metal 2, when used, it is using either dark blue color or purple color. Similarly, horizontal lines indicate the metal 2 encoding. Metal 1 encoding is using vertical encoding. Metal 2, it uses horizontal encoding. The VDD and VSS contacts are shown in this particular manner. VDD and VSS makes use of the metal, and we make use of a square box containing the metal with contact cut in case of VDD and VSS. And VSS, it is indicated by the metal layer, and one yellow box is also surrounding it. In stick diagram, cross is used on the metal layer to show that it is VDD or VSS. There are different types of contact cuts or contacts that need to be used. Black dot indicates the contact cut on the stick diagram. Square box indicates the contact cut on the mask layout. Via or contact between metal 1 and metal 2 is indicated in this fashion in the mask layout. Brown dot or a box like this with cross indicates the buried contact. Brown dot is used in the stick diagram, and square box with cross using brown color, it is used in the mask layout. The demarcation line, it is used whenever we are using the CMOS technology or CMOS, any circuitry designed using the CMOS technology. When CMOS technology is used, we know that PMOS transistors and NMOS transistors both are used in the design. So, when the demarcation line is drawn, above the demarcation line PMOS transistors need to be drawn, and below the demarcation line NMOS transistors have to be drawn. Now, if this rectangular whatever box I have shown you, dashed box, it is above the demarcation line, it means it is N well in which PMOS transistors have to be fabricated. Otherwise, the box below indicates that if the box is below, then it indicates that it is P well and NMOS transistors are fabricated in the P well. In the stick diagram, whether it is P well or N well, it is shown using the demarcation line. P diffusion cannot cross the demarcation line and come down. Similarly, the N diffusion cannot cross the demarcation line and go up. The PMOS transistors will be placed nearer to VDD and NMOS transistors will be placed nearer to VSS. Whenever a transistor need to be formed, then polysilicon crossing the diffusion layer indicates that a transistor is formed. Here, these are the representation of the enhancement mode NMOS transistors. So we have used green layer and red layer crossing the green layer. So when red layer completely crosses the green layer, we say that NMOS transistor is formed. It may be in this way or this way. Similarly, you can see the complete color, green color and red color are being used, or shading or the encodings are being used here. You can see polysilicon, the encoding is done towards the right. Similarly, for N diffusion, it is towards the left. So what does this indicate? It indicates that whenever polysilicon crosses N diffusion, NMOS transistor is formed. Similarly, when polysilicon cuts or crosses the P diffusion, then PMOS transistor is formed. If we have to indicate depletion mode transistor, then we have to have an implant around the transistor. So implant around the transistor, it gives the information that it is depletion mode transistor. Here, polysilicon cuts the N diffusion, so NMOS transistor is formed. Implant is also present, indicating that it is NMOS depletion mode transistor. Similarly, NPN bipolar transistor can also be formed, or it is represented in this manner in the stick diagrams. So you have 3 dots indicating base, collector and emitter, and then the normal transistor symbol only is used, but a thicker one. This symbol is used whenever BiCMOS circuitry is going to be used. In the mask layout, the red color like this, brownish red, it indicates P base of the bipolar NPN transistor, and this way it indicates the buried collector of the bipolar NPN transistor. This is the fabrication representation of the NPN bipolar transistor. You can see collector region, emitter region, base region, the oxides and the buried N plus subcollector region is also shown here, and this is the top view of the NPN bipolar transistor. Now we know that polysilicon, when it crosses the diffusion, it forms a transistor, and every transistor will have its aspect ratio, which aspect ratio is the ratio of length and the width. Blue, which indicates metal, it may cross over red or green without connection. So when blue layer it crosses red layer or green layer, it does not indicate that a connection is there. We know blue layer it is meant for metal, red layer is meant for polysilicon, and green layer is meant for N diffusion. So when blue layer crosses red or green layers, that is when it crosses polysilicon or N diffusion, there is no contact. The connection between layers is specified with cross or X in case of stick diagram. Metal lines on different layer can cross one another. Connections are done using wire. Now when metal has to come in contact with polysilicon or diffusion, then contact cuts are created. But when metal 1 crosses metal 2 or any higher layers, then the contacts known as via need to be made. For NMOS stick diagram, that is when stick diagram need to be drawn for NMOS transistors, that is circuitry using NMOS transistors, normally the first step is to draw two parallel metal VDD and ground rails. There should be enough space between them for other circuit elements. Next, active or green paths must be drawn for the required transistors. Cross has to be marked wherever contacts need to be made. Polysilicon or red layer crosses the active, that is green layer in case of N diffusion, and yellow layer in case of P diffusion, where the transistor is required. For NMOS transistor, P diffusion or yellow color will not be used. For depletion mode FET, draw required implant using the yellow. That means one yellow color box has to be drawn around the transistor, indicating it is depletion mode transistor. Label each of the transistor with their LW ratio. So whenever NMOS circuitry is going to be drawn, that means transistor circuit which consists of NMOS transistors need to be drawn. Then in that case, first you draw two parallel layers of metal having space in between them, and then you connect the metals using the N diffusion, and then wherever a transistor need to be used, then polysilicon has to be used to cross the green layer, that is the N diffusion, and wherever contacts need to be made, we have to properly indicate them using cross sign or black dot. This is the NMOS inverter. Now we know that NMOS inverter consists of depletion mode transistor as load and NMOS enhancement mode transistor as the driver. So here what we do, first we draw two metal layers, one for VDD and one for ground, and then we draw one N diffusion layer between the two metals, and the metal layer N diffusion make contact with each other. So we have to draw a black circle, black dot indicating contact, or a cross sign. And next here you know that we have to make use of two transistors. Both are NMOS transistors, so the polysilicon will cut the NMOS transistor at two places. And then this is N diffusion, this is depletion mode transistor, so that's why one implant has been drawn here using yellow. That means yellow box has been drawn around this transistor. Now gate of this transistor is connected to its source. So here also the gate which is indicated by the polysilicon is extended to have contact at this particular point. You can show it using cross or you can show it using dot. This polysilicon has not continuously, this layer is not continuous, it is not cutting the end diffusion to make a transistor, but it ends here and there is a contact and one more layer has been used here. Now instead of using polysilicon to get the output of the inverter, we can also make use of a metal at this particular point. The basic structures of the layer, it consists of masking sequence of P substrate technology. This is the step. First start with P-type substrate. N-well has to be formed. Active region, that is inside the N-well, PMOS transistors need to be formed. So for PMOS transistor, P diffusion layers have to be diffused. So that is the active layers. Next, polysilicon has to be deposited. So poly. We make use of P-select and N-select. P-select to have the area where P diffusion has to be made or PMOS transistors have to be formed, and N-select for N diffusion. Active contacts, so wherever contacts are required, contact with the diffusion layer is made, then contact with the polysilicon is made. Metal 1, via and then metal 2 are formed. Like this it goes on. This is the masking sequence of the P substrate technology. Features on every level have design rule specifications for minimum width W of a line and minimum edge to edge spacing S between adjacent polygons. You can see from the figure that every layer has a particular width which need to be followed, minimum width. Similarly, spacing between any two layers also is specified in the design rules. The design rules, they provide necessary communication link between the circuit designers and the process engineers during manufacturing phase. The goal of the design rules is to achieve optimum yield of a circuit with smallest area cost. The design rules actually give us the minimum width or minimum spacing between the layers. So using those dimensions, we can actually form the circuit and we can see to it that the circuit fits in a smaller area. Design rules specify to the designer certain geometric constraints on the layout artwork so that the patterns on the processed wafer will preserve the topology and geometry of the designs. So they specify geometric constraints. What are geometric constraints? As I told you, the width of the layer, then the spacing between any two layers, all these things are specified by the design rules. Why are design rules used? As I have told you, they are the interface between the designer and the process engineer. The process technology referred to the length of the silicon channel between the source and the drain terminals in the FET. What does this mean? This means that, let us say I make use of 180 nanometer technology, then in that case 180 nanometer is the length of the channel between the source and the drain. That is, the channel which has been formed between the source and the drain is of length 180 nanometer, or the distance between the source and the drain is 180 nanometer. The size of other features are generally derived as a ratio of the channel length, where some may be larger than the channel size and some smaller. Now once I fix the size of the channel, using the technology, process technology which I have used, then other features will be the size of the other features will be indicated based on the length of the channel. The design rules primarily address two issues: geometrical reproduction of the features that can be reproduced by the mask making and lithographic process. We know that in fabrication of a circuit, a transistor, NMOS transistor, PMOS transistor, CMOS circuit, then mask making has to be done. That is, masks have to be formed. Lithographic process is actually done. Similarly, the design rules also address the interaction between different layers. There are different types of design rules. In our syllabus, we have lambda based design rules. We can also have micron based design rules, but lambda based design rules, they are based on a single parameter, that is lambda, which characterizes the linear feature, the resolution of the complete waveform implementation process. All the paths in all layers will be dimensioned in lambda units, and subsequently lambda can be allotted an appropriate value compatible with the feature size of the fabrication process. So, what are lambda based design rules? Lambda based design rules are the rules in which the width, spacing between the layers, everything is mentioned in terms of lambda. So, when I make use of 180 nanometer process technology, it means that 2 lambda is equal to 180 nanometer, or 2 lambda is the length of the channel, 2 lambda is equal to 180 nanometer. Based on this 2 lambda is equal to 180 nanometer, minimum size or minimum width of the layers and minimum spacing between the layers is given using these lambda based design rules. So they are simple for the designer. There is wide acceptance to these design rules. They provide the feature size independent way of setting out the mask. Minimum feature size is defined as 2 lambda, used to preserve topological features on a chip, prevent shortening open contacts from slipping out of area to be contacted. This is once again like a slide showing you just the layout of the NMOS and PMOS transistors. You can see that when the PMOS transistor is formed inside the N-well, the PMOS transistor is formed by cutting the polysilicon when the P diffusion, actually yellow color should have been shown, and N-well is surrounding it. This indicates that the PMOS transistor is formed inside the N-well. The design rules for diffusion and metal layers is indicated here. When 2 metal 1 layers are used, each metal 1 layer, you can see the width of the metal 1 layer should be 3 lambda. Spacing between any 2 metal 1 layers should also be 3 lambda. Metal 2 layer, its minimum width is 4 lambda, and spacing between 2 metal 2 layers is minimum spacing is 4 lambda. The width of N diffusion or P diffusion minimum value is 2 lambda. Spacing between any 2 N diffusions or P diffusions minimum spacing is 3 lambda. Similarly, spacing between polysilicon and diffusion layer minimum 1 lambda should be there, and spacing between 2 polysilicon layers minimum 2 lambda spacing should be there, and their width minimum is 2 lambda. Design rules for transistors. The minimum size of the transistor that is formed, that is the overlapped region of N diffusion and P diffusion, N diffusion and polysilicon, or P diffusion and polysilicon, or in this case depletion mode transistor, you can see the overlapped region minimum it should be 2 lambda cross 2 lambda, and the implant, the size of the square which you draw for the implant, it should be minimum 6 lambda by 6 lambda. Now in this particular diagram you can see that when a contact has been made, the distance, all the distances, spacings or the widths, whatever we are talking is minimum value. So the spacing between the contact cut and the polysilicon is 2 lambda. Similarly here from the implant to the polysilicon it is 2 lambda, and implant for NMOS depletion mode transistor, it should extend 2 lambda minimum beyond the channel in all directions. So you can see it has to extend from the channel 2 lambda, and this side also 2 lambda it has to extend. Similarly here, N diffusion and polysilicon cut each other, a transistor has been formed, but the N diffusion you can see there is a variation in the size of the N diffusion. So the minimum distance from the poly to this N diffusion, it is 2 lambda, and similarly the polysilicon should extend out of the N diffusion by a minimum of 2 lambda, so that a transistor has to form. If the polysilicon stops at this particular point, then the transistor, it does not indicate that a transistor is formed. It has to cross the diffusion layer and extend by a minimum value of 2 lambda. Contact cuts. Contact cut, it defines the contact area from metal 1 to diffusion, similarly metal 1 to poly. They define the contact areas for different metallization layers such as metal 1 and metal 2 or metal 3, etc. Contact between polysilicon and diffusion can be performed using different ways. First method is using the metal, that is poly to metal and then metal to diffusion. Similarly, butting contact, that is poly to diffusion using the metal, and buried contact can be used for contact between polysilicon and diffusion. In CMOS designs, poly to diffusion contacts are almost always made via metal. What is poly metal diffusion? That means how the contacts are made between polysilicon and diffusion using metal. 2x2 contact cut is made, that indicates that an area in which the oxide is to be removed down to the underlying poly or diffusion surface. What does this mean? This means that, let us say you have a layer of poly, on that silicon dioxide has been put, and then you have to make a contact with the underlying poly or the underlying diffusion. So then a 2 lambda cross 2 lambda cut has to be made in that silicon dioxide, and remove the silicon dioxide from that particular cut, and when you pour the metal, then the deposition of the metal layer takes place. The metal is deposited through the contact area onto the underlying area, so that contact is made between the layer. Now here, this particular diagram indicates metal 1 to poly or to diffusion. So the mask layout is indicated in this fashion. Metal 1, we know that the minimum width is 3 lambda. For the poly, minimum width is 2 lambda. So you draw metal 1 layer and poly layer, then a contact cut is shown in this manner. How the contact cut is shown? You have 4 lambda cross 4 lambda square. Inside that 2 lambda cross 2 lambda cut has to be shown, superimposed on 4 lambda cross 4 lambda, area. So this 4 lambda cross 4 lambda area will have the encoding of both metal 1 as well as polysilicon, and the 2 lambda cross 2 lambda cut whatever has been made, it will be shown in black color. Same way, the contact of any two layers is shown in this particular manner. Here you can see metal 1 and diffusion, end diffusion is contact is made using the metal. So from metal 1 and end diffusion have a contact. So you can see once again 4 lambda by 4 lambda square, inside that 2 lambda cross 2 lambda contact cut is made. And we know that the width of the metal 1 minimum is 3 lambda, minimum width of end diffusion is 2 lambda. Similarly, next we have metal 1 and p diffusion, same way it is shown. Now you can see here, same layer, you have metal 1 is having a contact with p diffusion in 3 places. So here in this particular case, you can see 3 contact cuts have been made, and metal 1 single layer is used to have the contact of the p diffusion with the metal. Then in that case, the spacing, minimum spacing between 2 contacts is 2 lambda. Now when metal 1 and metal 2 need to be connected, then in that case we indicate that connection by via. What is via? Once again, you have metal 2 layer whose minimum width is 4 lambda, metal 1 layer minimum width is 3 lambda. So when they cross, here you have 4 lambda cross 4 lambda square, wherein metal 1 and metal 2 encoding is used, and then 2 lambda cross 2 lambda contact is used. So for via, generally a plus sign is indicated. Now this contact, this metal 1 is then made used to have connection with other layers. So when this type of via is being used, you can see that distance between these 2 contact cuts is minimum is 2 lambda. Now when we have via and cut used to connect metal 2 to diffusion, so you have metal 2 and then you have diffusion. Directly metal 2 cannot come in contact with the diffusion, so metal 1 has to be used. So you can see here that metal 2 and metal 1 have the contact using the via, and then metal 1 is used to make contact with the diffusion. So once again here, the spacing between the 2 contacts should be a minimum of 2 lambda. Further contacts between poly and diffusion using the metal, another method is butting contact. So you can see here that this is how the butting contact is being represented using the mask layout. You have metal 1, you have poly, you have end diffusion, and all the layers are connected together. And then this butting contact is, the minimum width is 6 lambda, 4 lambda cross 6 lambda. You can see here, whenever this 4 lambda cross 4 lambda buried contact is being used, then in that case 1 lambda extension on all the sides should be there. Similarly here you see there is an extension of 2 lambda and 2 lambda on both the sides. We will see what each one is. Now this diagram shows how basically the metal 2 is made to connect to end diffusion. Now this is the mask layout which I had just explained you in the previous slides. You have metal 2. Metal 2 has to be used to contact with the end diffusion, but metal 2 cannot directly contact the end diffusion. So that's why metal 2 and metal 1 come in contact. So this portion is metal 1. So when they come in contact they come in contact using the contact via, and then metal 1 comes in contact with end diffusion using the contact cut. But actual from the side view, this is how it is seen. Now you have the substrate, and here you have the end diffusion. So if metal 2 has to come in contact with metal 1, then you make a contact cut. So when you make a contact cut, that means the silicon dioxide layer in this place has been removed. So when the silicon dioxide layer here it is removed, first you are going to have the metal 1 deposition, then you have the silicon dioxide once again and make a contact cut once again, so that now when metal 2 is being deposited, metal 2 will come in contact with metal 1. So you can see metal 2 comes in contact with metal 1, which in turn comes in contact with end diffusion. So that is how the metal 2 and end diffusion contact is formed. Now what is butting contact? 2 lambda cross 2 lambda contact cut is made down to each layers which need to be joined. The layers are butted together in such a way that these two contact cuts become contiguous. As poly and diffusion outlines overlap, thin oxide under poly acts as mask in the diffusion process. The poly and diffusion layers are butted together. Contact between the two butting layers is then made by metal overlay. In this particular diagram, you can see the butting contact. You have the diffusion here, you have the substrate. Inside the substrate, this is the end diffusion which is shown. This is the polysilicon and this is the metal. So a 2 lambda cross 2 lambda contact cut is made. So first you have 2 lambda cross 2 lambda contact cut here, and then when the contact cut is made, here also the contact cut is made. You can see the layers are butted together in such a way that the two contact cuts become contiguous. That means the two contact cuts which are made are continuous. Now the polysilicon is already there, and you have started diffusing the n-type impurities in the region where end diffusion has to be formed. So when the end diffusion is formed, that means the n-type impurities are being diffused into the area where end diffusion has to be formed. That takes place through the polysilicon to the end diffusion layer. And then you have a thin oxide layer here. So polysilicon and diffusion outlines overlap. Thin oxide under the poly acts as mask in the diffusion process. So this particular thin mask, it is acting as the mask, and you can see here now these two, end diffusion and the poly, are making a contact once again using the metal. The metal has been deposited, which makes contact both with polysilicon as well as the end diffusion. So this is butting contact. Next, buried contact. Buried contact is indicated by dotted lines in this fashion and a cross. Thin oxide is to be removed to reveal the surface of silicon wafer before poly is deposited. You can see here first end diffusion has been, the n-type impurities have been diffused in this particular area, and then when the silicon dioxide layer has been deposited over it, a contact cut has been made in this particular portion. So it will the contact cut is made and the silicon dioxide is removed. So when the silicon dioxide is removed, then when the poly is deposited, the poly will come directly in contact with the diffusion through the contact cut. The diffusion takes place, the impurities will diffuse into the poly as well as the diffusion region within the contact area. So when the n-type impurities are being added, then those n-type impurities are going to be passed through the polysilicon into the area where n diffusion need to be put or placed. So okay, I'll repeat this once again. So here basically you have the area or the region which is marked for n diffusion. You make a contact cut in the silicon dioxide, and then you deposit the polysilicon, so that polysilicon comes directly in contact with the region where n diffusion actually has to be done. So after that, n-type impurities are going to be passed into the region where n diffusion has to be present. So these impurities pass through the polysilicon, diffuse through the polysilicon to the region where n diffusion need to be grown. So in that case, the impurities will diffuse into the polysilicon and the diffusion region within the contact area. So this we call it as the buried contact. Next, CMOS layer guidelines. When we are going to draw the CMOS circuitry, run VDD and VSS in metal at the top and bottom of the cell. Vertical polylines need to be drawn for each gate input. Polygate signals order should be such that they allow maximum connection between the transistors via butting source drain connection. N gate segments should be placed, or N transistors should be placed closer to VSS and P transistors should be placed closer to VDD. Connection to complete logic gate should be made either by using poly, metal, or wherever appropriate in diffusion also. But what you have to keep in mind that above the demarcation line, PMOS transistors have to be placed, and below the demarcation line, NMOS transistors have to be placed. Because above the demarcation line, the metal layer which is running will be VDD, and below the demarcation line, after the NMOS transistors, you will be having a metal layer which acts as the ground. Better use of routing layers should be done. More merged source drain connections should be used. More usage of white space in sparse gates. Use of optimum device sizes. Use of smaller devices leads to smaller layouts. So wherever required, smaller transistors only need to be formed. Only if required, the size of the transistor should be increased. Similarly, CMOS lambda based design rules, this show the P-well process, that is the design rules for P-well process. You have the P-well, and PMOS transistor is placed in the P plus mask. Now you can see that the P plus mask, it should extend by a minimum spacing of 2 lambda. And we have the P-well, the spacing between P-well and the contact. Here you can see contact which is made between the P diffusion and the metal. The spacing should be, minimum spacing should be 3 lambda. Spacing between P plus mask and P-well minimum should be lambda. 2 lambda cross 2 lambda contact cut in 4 lambda cross 4 lambda overlap area for the contact cut has to be made. Each of the arrangements shown here, they can be merged into single split contact. You can see here these two together can come in closer together or merged together to form a single split contact. And they can split contacts may also be made with separate cuts. You can form the contacts anyway. Either separate cuts can be used or single merged cut can be used. Here also whatever two contact cuts have been shown, in this case merged contact cut has been shown. Similarly, you can see here the P well minimum width is 4 lambda. It must overlap all enclosed thin arcs by 3 lambda minimum. Spacing between two P wells, it is 2 lambda minimum for wells at same potential and 6 lambda minimum for wells at different potential. And minimum spacing to external thin arcs is 5 lambda. And you can see here spacing between the P well and polysilicon is 2 lambda. Now this diagram shows us the layout of the CMOS inverter. CMOS inverter, first you draw VDD and ground. You have the demarcation line, or you can indicate the N well or the P well. If you place a well around PMOS transistor, then that is N well, but if you place a well around NMOS transistor, then that would be P well. Next, you have used one polysilicon that cuts both N diffusion as well as P diffusion, and V input is given. Because gates of both the transistors are connected together, we can make use of one polysilicon to cut both the diffusions. Source of P diffusion, you can see here, when polysilicon cuts the P diffusion, a PMOS transistor is formed. One side is the source, another side is the drain. So we can have contact of the source to the VDD and drain is connected to output. Similarly, when poly crosses the N diffusion, NMOS transistor is formed. One side is the source, another side is the drain. Here the source is connected to VSS and drain is connected to output. N well has to be connected to VDD, and similarly if P well is used, then it will be connected to VSS. Or this shows the substrate connection to VSS. You can see here substrate connection of PMOS is connected to VDD, substrate of NMOS is connected to VSS. So this is how it is indicated in the stick diagram. Next is BiCMOS. We had already studied BiCMOS inverter circuit, where CMOS inverter is used in addition to the BJT for high current drive capability. So this is the two ways in which the BiCMOS inverter can be drawn. And this is the stick diagram of the BiCMOS circuitry. So you can see that P diffusion and poly cut each other to form PMOS transistor. N diffusion and poly cut each other to form NMOS transistor. You can see this part is the CMOS inverter circuit, and that is connected to two bipolar transistors in this fashion, indicating that it is BiCMOS inverter circuit. Symbolic diagram can also be used instead of stick diagram. Another method of drawing the BiCMOS inverter, that is the alternate method, is this one. I had shown you in the previous diagram. This is alternate circuitry. So using this circuitry, this CMOS part of the circuit is drawn, and then they are connected to two bipolar transistors. Similarly, the NAND gate circuit for BiCMOS we already know. So this has been depicted using symbolic diagram. We are making use of P diffusion and N diffusion, and then the CMOS part of the circuitry, whatever the CMOS circuitry is there, so that this is the CMOS circuitry here we have. So all this is indicated in this part of the circuit, and these two transistors are indicated by these two bipolar transistors. This is the mask layout of 2 input NAND gate. You can see here that the bipolar transistor is indicated using these layers. Similarly, NOR 2 input NOR gate using BiCMOS circuit and symbolic diagram, and its mask layout is being shown. Cell concepts. The basic building blocks in the physical design are called cells. The logic gates will act as the basic building blocks. So we have to design the logic gates first, and then the power supply ports for VDD and VSS are chosen at the same location for every cell that we are going to design, and width of each cell depends upon the size of the transistors and the wiring used for connections at the physical level. So if we have to create a cell that performs the operation F is equal to A bar B, for example, then to get A bar we have to use one inverter circuit. So once I get A bar, then A bar and B both will be given as inputs to a NAND gate, and output of the NAND gate will be given as input to NOT gate to get A bar B. So here we require one inverter, one NAND gate and another inverter. So the complete cell which is going to be formed will have a width equal to the width of the NAND gate cell plus 2 times the width of the NOT gate cell. And you can see the placement of the inputs A and B and output F. Similarly, VDD and VSS will be formed, that power lines will be formed in the regions shown in this manner. So you can see that N-well region is formed in place where PMOS transistors will be formed, and P substrate is used where NMOS transistors is formed. M1 is the edge-to-edge distance between VDD and VSS. Similarly, PM1M1 is the distance between middle of VDD and VSS lines, and from middle of this one to this one means, what does this mean? This means DM1 plus VDD, WDD, where WDD is the width of the power supply line. Half of WVD plus DM1M1, together we will get PM1M1. So this shows how PMOS transistors are placed in the N-well region and NMOS transistors are placed below, nearer to the VSS. How is the routing done? Interconnection routing considerations are very important for VSS VDD spacing. Complex digital systems wiring is often more complicated than design of the transistor arrays. So basically you can see here that you have divided the whole circuitry into layers. So the first topmost you can see here, for every cell, every row of cells, you above that you have VDD and below you have VSS. You have this row of cells, you have VDD and VSS. Similarly, you have this row of cells, you have VDD and VSS. Now, to make contact between cells of one row and cells of another row, in between you have routing channels or metal layers. So we can make contacts using these metal layers. Now here you can see that the horizontal routing channels are made using metal 1 wiring. Now contact of one cell with the metal 1 is done using metal 2 wiring. Similarly, you can see if it has to cross, the connection has to cross completely and go to the other place, metal 3 wiring is made use of. So if I make this, if I see this particular connection, cell 7 through cell 7 to this particular metal 1 layer using metal 2, and then through metal 2 to cell 12 connection is done. High density technique, like if you want to actually have more number of cells, alternate VDD VSS power lines, share them with the cells above and below. Previously you saw that for every row of cell you have a separate VDD and VSS, but here these power lines are shared by the cells. If you consider the cells present here, they have VDD and VSS here, and this VSS line is shared by this next row of cells, and this VDD line is shared by this one as well as this row of cells, etc. Now since no space is automatically reserved for routing, this allows for high density of placement of cells. But what is the drawback? Connection between rows must be accomplished by using metal 2 or higher. You cannot make use of metal 1 to make the connections between the different rows. Here you can see you have a VDD layer. Above that PMOS transistors are there, below also PMOS transistors are there, and then anvil region has been formed here. Similarly, this just shows how NMOS and PMOS transistors are placed. So this NMOS PMOS forms one CMOS circuitry, and this NMOS PMOS forms another CMOS circuitry. And what about the port placements? So once you have VDD, VSS, you have the poly, etc. You can see here that these will be the routing channels to which the other connections has to be made. You can see this is one port where input is to be given. This is the port where output has to be taken. So for every cell, input port and output port will be marked, and similarly the connections to the cells can also be is also indicated here. MOS sizing. Minimum size MOS transistor is the smallest transistor that can be created using the design rule set, that is 2 lambda by 2 lambda. That means length and width of the transistor both will be equal to 2 lambda. But you can scale the transistor. So when you scale the transistor, you can see here that width of the transistor has increased by 2 times, and here it is increased by 4 times. Similarly, when two transistors are in series, you can indicate in this fashion by increasing the width. Or in other words, here the width of the transistor has been increased from W to 2W. But when two transistors are in series, as we had studied, then in that particular case the width will increase 2 times, length will remain the same. But when they are in parallel, then in that case what we get, length will be increased. This is the design hierarchy. First, each cell is formed. You are going to store the cells in the cell library. Then using the cells, different modules of the subsystem are formed. You connect the modules to form the complete, each module or subsystem is connected to form the complete circuitry. Now when this is just an example to show how the connection should not be made. What is the output Z? Z is equal to A into B plus C plus D whole bar. So B, C, D transistors are in parallel, NMOS transistors are parallel, and that is in series with A. This is NMOS side of the circuit. So the circuitry has been converted to the stick diagram or the layout, but you can see here that the metal layer has been drawn like this, which is very near to the power line. Similarly, you can see that in this fashion the metal lines have been routed. So this is wrong. Instead, the right one is by properly placing the transistors and making the connections, like source and drain have to be marked in such a way that such connections are avoided. Now the transmission gate, all of us know that the transmission gate is a PMOS transistor and one NMOS transistor connected together, wherein NMOS transistor gate is connected to the control signal, PMOS transistor gate is connected to complement of the control signal. So here in this case you can see one PMOS transistor is formed, NMOS transistor is formed. Don't go for the colors, just see how the transistors are formed. So the transistors are formed and you can see the metal layers are used here to make the contact between the two transistors. Whereas here the polysilicon itself is used to make the contact between the two transistors. Here you can see from first transistor metal 1 is used, then metal 2 is used here and metal 1 is used. So metal 1, metal 2 and metal 1 are used to make the contact here. Same transmission gate, but you can see different ways of making the contacts. Further you can see here how the transistors can be placed in the transmission gate. Here the two transistors are placed one above the other and connections are made using the metal. Here you can see they are placed little apart, and here as I told you metal 1, metal 2 and metal 1 is being used to make the contacts. Similarly, 2 input multiplexer, these are the two ways in which the layout can be drawn or the stick diagram can be drawn. So this transmission gate, PMOS transistor gate is connected to C, NMOS transistor gate is connected to C bar. So you can see that you have one transistor here whose gate is connected to C, and you can see this is connected through the metal to this particular polysilicon, and this transistor also the gate is connected to C. Now this gate is connected to C bar. You can see through the polysilicon is common, and this will be C bar. So you can see here that this is the NMOS transistor, this is the PMOS transistor whose gate is connected to C, and this is the NMOS transistor whose gate is connected to C bar, and they are connected together and A is given as the input as shown in the diagram. Similarly, here NMOS transistor gate is connected to C, PMOS transistor gate is connected to C bar, and then the two transistors are connected together and B is given as the input. Now these two are connected together and Z is taken, that is indicated using this particular metal connection. Similarly, same diagram can be represented in this fashion also. If three transistors are in series, you make use of a single diffusion layer and three polysilicons cutting the same diffusion layer to form three transistors. Similarly, if two transistors are in parallel, then you have the same diffusion, two polysilicons cutting, but you can see in the middle that there is a contact using some metal has been used. So here you can see this transistor A and transistor B connected to input X. So transistor A, transistor B connected to input X through the metal. The other side of the transistors are shorted using the metal and output Y is taken. Similarly, you can see this one. You have transistors, transistor A and transistor B. This is same as your transmission gate. So transistor A is indicated by N diffusion, polysilicon crossing each other. Transistor B also you have N diffusion and polysilicon crossing each other, and then you have the contacts by making use of the metal in both the cases. This is the NOT gate or the CMOS inverter circuit. You can see here P diffusion, poly cut each other to form PMOS transistor. Same poly is used to cut the N diffusion to form the NMOS transistor. This indicates that gate of both the transistors are connected together and input would be given, and you can see that the drain of both the transistors are connected together and output is taken. So drain of both the transistors connected together, output is taken. The source of PMOS is connected to VP here. So this is the source connected to VP, source of NMOS connected to ground, so source of NMOS connected to ground. So what you have to understand is that whenever N diffusion and poly cut each other, if one side is marked as the drain, then other side will be marked as the source. Similarly, this is the stick diagram indicating the 2-input NAND gate. We know that in a 2-input NAND gate, 2 NMOS transistors are in series and 2 PMOS transistors are in parallel. So you have P diffusion, N diffusion. P diffusion is placed in the N well, or you can make use of a demarcation line. So we make use of the 2 polysilicon layers cutting both P diffusion and N diffusion, and to the gates of these, that is to the polysilicon, A and B are given as the inputs. You can see here that a metal layer is used and it is having a contact with the polysilicon, and input A is given to that, and for input B, same polysilicon layer is used to give the input. Once again, source of the PMOS transistor is towards the VDD and drain of the PMOS transistor is towards the output. Similarly, source of NMOS is towards ground, drain is towards the output. Source is towards ground and drain is towards the output. So if I mark source of, this is transistor B, this is transistor A. So source of B, if I mark this side, so drain I will be marking this side. Once again, source, if I mark this side, drain I will be marking here. So source of the NMOS transistor B is connected to ground, drain of B is connected to source of A, which is used here, and then drain of A is connected to the output. Similarly, source of both A and B are connected to VDD. So this is the source, so this is the drain. Similarly, this is the source, this is the drain. I can also write this as the source and these as the drain. So in that case, my metal connection would have been in this fashion, and this would have gone to the VDD. This is another way of drawing the stick diagram. Instead of placing the P diffusion and N diffusion horizontally, wherever a transistor is required, we are having a polysilicon cutting the P diffusion and drawing the transistors. This is NAND layout. You can see here PMOS and NMOS, P diffusion and N diffusion are drawn horizontally, whereas here it was a different way. So this second circuitry matches with this circuit. Similarly, the layout of 2-input NOR gate. What is 2-input NOR gate? 2 NMOS transistors are in parallel, 2 PMOS transistors are in series. So these is different ways in which the circuits can be drawn. You can draw the stick diagram in any way you want. So once again, you can see P diffusion and diffusion drawn in horizontal, and then we are making use of 2 polysilicon layers cutting the N diffusion and P diffusion, so that A and B are given as the inputs. So you can see in this layout, A and B are given as inputs to the polysilicon directly, but here A and B are given through metal, and output is taken using the metal. So transistor A, what we have to remember is the source of PMOS transistor is towards the VDD, drain is towards the output, and source of NMOS transistor is towards VSS or ground, and drain is towards the output. From that, what we are going to do, you are going to mark the source and the drain of the transistors. So when you mark the source and the drain of the transistors, then very easily you can draw the stick diagram. So source of both the transistors of the NMOS are going to be connected to VSS, and drain of both the transistors, here in this case common and diffusion indicates drain of the both the transistors are connected together through which output is taken. Similarly, two PMOS transistors are in series. First transistor, that is transistor A, source is connected to VDD, then drain and source of transistor in B are indicated here by using a common diffusion, and then drain of transistor B is connected to the output. Now these two layouts, they show the difference here. You can see here that in this I had marked source like this and drain like this, but in this source of both the transistors marked here and drain is marked in this way, so that this common area is connected to VSS, indicating source of both the transistors connected to VSS, and drains of both the transistors connected to through which output is taken. Same thing has been shown in this particular diagram. Next, if more complex circuits need to be converted to stick diagram, then we have to actually see the order of the inputs which need to be given to the polysilicon. So this is actually made easy using the graph theory or the Euler path. Now you can see here that when you start from a particular location, if you have a path which is without breaking, or the path does not have to pass through the transistor more than one time, then we can say that we can have a common N diffusion or common P diffusion can be used in the stick diagram or the mask layout, and the circuitry can be drawn. So in this particular diagram, you can see we have a common path here. So automatically I can say that this particular circuit to which ABC are given as the inputs can be easily converted to stick diagram using common N diffusion, common P diffusion. So when we draw the Euler path, each transistor is converted into an edge like this. X and Y are indicated. Now here in this case, when we have the PMOS part, you can see here you have VDD connection, and this you consider as alpha. Sorry, here alpha is this portion. Alpha is this portion. So this is the point we are taking. So you have this path is transistor B, so that is indicated by this edge B. Similarly, this part is transistor C, so this is indicated by this edge C, and then to this point alpha you have one transistor A, so that is indicated by this edge A. This is for PMOS transistors. Now similarly, NMOS transistor, you have between VSS and the output, you have VSS and output, you have transistor A. So you have VSS and output, you have transistor A, and between output and VSS once again you have transistor B and C. So you can see when you have this particular path in this way, then it is cutting the B transistor, it is cutting the C transistor, and this particular path is cutting the transistor A. So this indicates that because you have a common this one between because we are able to draw the Euler path, we can say that we can make use of common N diffusion and P diffusion. Simple words, what I can say is if I have a path like this, if I have a circuitry like this, we will be actually drawing the path in this way without any Euler path or anything. I can draw it in this way. I will have 1 minute, I'll make use of a different color. So if I may have made a path A, B, C like this, so my input order will be A, B, C. Similarly, here in P side, A, B, C if I have, then the input order A, B, C holds good here also. So I can draw a stick diagram using the order A, B, C as the inputs given to the polysilicon. Similarly, this particular example shows us the circuitry and the stick diagram of the expression G is equal to X into YZ plus ZW whole bar. So because here Z is common to both the terms, Z is taken common, so it will become XZ into Y plus W whole bar. So because it is XZ plus Y plus W whole bar, Y plus W is indicated by two NMOS transistors in parallel. So two NMOS transistors in parallel, that is in series with two transistors X and Z. So here YZ are in parallel, so in PMOS YW are in parallel, so in PMOS YW will be in series. X and Z are in series, so in PMOS X and Z are in parallel. Now the path which is taken here is WYZX. WYZX, this is the path. So here also we will see whether the same path hold good. WYZX. So when you are drawing the path, you should see to it that you are not traversing through a transistor more than one time. That means the path does not overlap or intersect with the already path which has been drawn previously. So WYZX, here also WYZX. That is why you have made use of a common PMOS, a common NMOS for all the PMOS and NMOS transistors. So using this order WYZX, when you use the polysilicon to cut PMOS and P diffusion and N diffusion, then very easily you can draw on common diffusion layers. Now what is the first step you have to do? The first step you have to do is mark the drain and source of these transistors in the circuit. Remember, the source of NMOS transistor is towards the ground and the drain of the NMOS transistor is towards the output. Similarly, source of PMOS transistor is towards the VDD and drain of PMOS transistor is towards the output. So this is how you are actually going to mark, and once you mark, then you are going to mark those source and the drain for both PMOS and NMOS. It is not required but that source and the drain of PMOS and NMOS transistors should be in the same places. You can interchange as how you require them. So first, when source, you can see source of W, X and Z connected to VDD PMOS transistor. So this is made as source. You can see here it is connected to VDD. Similarly, Z and W source is this one connected to VDD. Obviously the other side is the drain. So here the other side is the drain. This is also the drain. Now drain of X and Z connected to output. So drain of X and Z connected to, so that is the reason why here if source is drain is connected to the output, then what about this transistor Y? You check this transistor Y, source and drain of source of Y and drain of W are connected together. Source of Y, so this will be the source of Y because source of Y and drain of W are connected together. So obviously the other side will be the drain. So drain of Y and drain of Z are connected together. Drain of Y and drain of Z are connected together, and that is given as the output. This is for the PMOS side. Similarly, NMOS side, source of Y and W are connected to ground. So this is marked as the source for W and Y connected to the ground. So the other side is the drain. So the drains of both these transistors are connected together and source of Z is given. So drains of both the transistors are connected through metal here, and then that is connected to source. So this side will be the source. So automatically the other side is the drain. So drain of Z and source of W are connected together. So this is the source of X. So the other side is the drain, and drain of X is connected to output. So this is how you have to mark the source and drain and make the connections in the stick diagram. Similarly, this particular example shows F is equal to ABC plus AD whole bar. ABC plus AD whole bar, in that A is common, so you can take A into BC plus D whole bar. You draw the circuit first. So BC in series parallel to D, and then the whole thing is in series to A in case of NMOS part. Similarly, opposite in case of PMOS. And then you draw the stick diagram by first marking the source and drain of the transistors in the circuitry, and then looking at the circuit you can mark the source and drain of the transistors which have been formed. So here in this example CBDA is used as the inputs. Let us see how. If I start from this C, B, D and A, this is the path from in the NMOS side. Similarly, PMOS side C, B, D, A. So we have traversed through the PMOS circuit also using just one particular path without traversing through any transistor more than one times. So we are able to traverse through the circuit. So CBDA is the order of the inputs which need to be placed or which need to be given to the polysilicons. Thus we can make use of a common P diffusion and N diffusion, and same polysilicon can be used to form the PMOS as well as NMOS transistors. So once you have this particular path, you know the order of the inputs, then you mark the source and the drain of the transistors in the circuit, and that you are going to convert it into the stick diagram. This is another example which shows F is equal to A plus B into C plus D into E whole bar. So A plus B, so two transistor A and B in parallel, C plus D, so C and D in parallel. So into is there, or AND operation is there between all. So these two branches and transistor E all will be in series. Now here you can see how you are going to place the inputs, that is order of inputs. Here I have started with C, D, E, A, B. So here also C, D, E, A, B. In this fashion, you can see that using just one path we are able to traverse through all the transistors of PMOS side. Similarly, NMOS side. So CDE AB is the order of the inputs which need to be given to the polysilicons. Then we can make use of a common P diffusion, N diffusion, common polysilicons. Now you can see here that transistor E is placed in the middle, so that we actually get this particular path. So if any adjustments need to be made in the inputs which are given to the transistors, you have to make the changes so that you get a common path for NMOS and PMOS side. Now this particular example is for Y is equal to ABC plus D whole bar. So ABC, so 3 transistors in series, plus D, so transistor D is in parallel to ABC in case of NMOS. Similarly, ABC will be in parallel in case of PMOS, and that will be in series with D in case of PMOS. Once again, A, B, C, D, we got the path in the NMOS. Here also we have A, B, C, D in case of PMOS. So A, B, C, D are the inputs which need to be given in this particular order. Now, as I have told you, once you see the path, if you get a common path in such a way that when you draw the path, it traverses through the NMOS transistors, similarly PMOS transistors in the same order without traversing through a transistor more than once, then that same order can be given to the polysilicon layers. Then we will come to know that same and common N diffusion, P diffusion, similarly common polysilicons can be made use of to make the transistors, PMOS and NMOS transistors. And once we know the order of the inputs, then you mark the drain and the source of the transistors, and then accordingly you mark the drain and source on the stick diagram. Now suppose there is no common path. In that case you have to break the transistors, and separate transistors need to be drawn by using separate diffusion layers and separate polysilicon cutting the diffusion layers to form the transistor. This is another example, A plus B plus CD whole bar. Similarly, A plus B plus C into D whole bar. Drawing the stick diagrams, you will have to practice to actually know how the stick diagrams need to be drawn. And I hope you have understood the lecture. It was a bit fast, I know, because it is just a recap of what I had already taught in the class. If you have understood, please like and subscribe. We will see in next lectures. Thank you.